When the seventh music executive died mysteriously in his hotel room, his underwear missing, and his tongue blackened like burnt yam, nobody suspected Amara. Nobody ever did. After all, she was the beautiful, award-winning African songbird with a smile that melted hearts and a voice that brought peace. But I knew. I was there from the beginning. Amara wasn't always this polished. She was just a regular girl with dreams, living in a one-room apartment in Ikeja with her younger sister. Her father was late, and her mother sold fruits by the roadside. Life was hard, but Amara had a voice, one that could make you cry, laugh, and dance all at once. She sang at weddings, churches, anywhere a microphone was available. She tried everything: auditions, talent shows, studio recordings. But nothing worked. They either wanted her to show body or pay money she didn't have. Fame was for those with connections, and Amara had none. She became desperate. One night, after being thrown out of a producer's office for refusing sex, she walked home barefoot in the rain. That's when she met Iya Baraka, the old woman with red eyes and a bent back, who whispered, "If you truly want it, I know someone who can help." Amara sat in silence at Iya Baraka's cramped shrine. The walls were covered in brown calabashes, bones, and strange markings that pulsed in the dim light of the oil lamp. The air smelled like something old and wet. Iya Baraka's voice crackled like dry leaves as she said, "You want fame. Real fame. The kind they bow to, cry for, and envy." Amara nodded. "Yes, Ma. I'll do anything." The old woman looked at her, long and deep, then smiled a wicked smile. "There's a man in Badagry. He is not of this world. His name is Baba Ifan. He can open the door, but once you step through, you must not turn back." The next morning, Amara boarded a dusty bus to Badagry. It rained all the way. She reached the bush path Iya Baraka described just before sunset. Baba Ifan's compound looked abandoned, but as soon as she stepped inside, the gate shut behind her on its own. He was waiting, a short, dark man with yellow eyes and a deep voice that made the ground vibrate. "You want the world?" he asked. "Yes," she replied. He chuckled. "Then bring me the underwear of 7 music kings, after you've shared their bed." Amara froze. "Underwear?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Baba Ifan nodded. "Not just any men. 7 powerful men who sit at the throne of music in this country. Their seed must pass through you. Their garment must pass through your hand. Only then will your voice command the world." Amara's head spun. "But why their underwear?" "The cloth closest to a man's secret," Baba Ifan said, "carries the strongest part of his soul." He gave her a black calabash. "Place each one in here. Do not open it. Do not tell anyone. When you collect the 7th, return. You will have everything you've ever dreamed of." Amara went back to Lagos that night, confused and scared. But desperation is a sharp blade, and hers had already cut too deep. Her first target was DJ Blackbone, rich, married, and always at parties. She knew his weakness: light-skinned girls who spoke gently and didn't ask questions. She seduced him within a week. In his hotel room, while he slept, she slid his briefs into her purse, placed it in the black calabash, and whispered, "1." The calabash trembled, then glowed faintly red. Amara changed after that night. She wasn't the shy girl from Ikeja anymore. She walked with purpose, her eyes cold, her voice smoother. Something in her spirit had shifted. Her second target was Don Tigo, the millionaire producer known for discovering stars. He was arrogant and always surrounded by girls. Amara knew she had to move smart. She auditioned for his label under a fake name and blew everyone away with her voice. Tigo invited her to his penthouse. The moment he poured her a drink and said, "You've got potential," she smiled. Her trap had worked. By morning, she had what she came for. 2, she whispered into the calabash. The third was easy, a label owner named Sakula. She met him through a radio host. His ego was his weakness. She flattered him, fed his pride, and 2 nights later, claimed her prize. 3. The 4th and 5th followed fast. One was a talent scout, The other, a streaming app CEO. Both gave her more than she asked for. Each time she dropped the underwear into the calabash, her voice got stronger, her songs more magical, her followers grew. People started calling her the Golden Voice. But they didn't know the price she was paying. By the sixth underwear, Amara got a record deal and was unstoppable. Her songs were topping charts, and big names were begging to collaborate. Her beauty became almost supernatural. Men fought for her attention, women envied her aura. But with every underwear she collected, something in her darkened. She no longer smiled at her mother's jokes. She stopped calling her sister. She hated silence. Music had become her oxygen, but only hers. She didn't listen to others anymore. When she took the sixth man, Chief Mega, a Grammy-nominated artiste with a dirty history, something strange happened. The morning after their night together, he woke up screaming, blind in one eye. He accused her of witchcraft. Blogs exploded with gossip, but Amara's fans defended her. They said Chief Mega was just bitter. That night, she held the sixth underwear over the black calabash. Before she could whisper six, the calabash shook violently and let out a deep growl. She dropped the garment and stepped back. What was that? The glow returned, but it was darker now, almost black. Her fame doubled the next day. She got an international endorsement deal with a fashion brand. Money rained. Cameras flashed. All that remained was the final underwear. And that was where her real problem began. The seventh man was unlike the others. His name was J-Vibe, a reclusive, respected music mogul who had mentored legends and refused to be caught in scandals. He didn't party, didn't drink, and rarely dated. Getting close to him was almost impossible. Amara's manager warned her, forget J-Vibe. He's untouchable. But Amara had come too far to stop. Here's the final door, she muttered. I must open it. She studied him for weeks. J-Vibe only appeared at industry conferences and award shows. He didn't do social media. He wasn't flashy. He respected discipline. Amara changed her strategy. She rebranded her image, less seductive, more refined. She began talking about art and legacy in interviews. She wore modest dresses and quoted poetry. Slowly, she caught J-Vibe's attention. Their first meeting was brief, after a panel event. Your voice is rare, he said. Thank you, sir. I'd love to learn more from you. Weeks passed. They exchanged messages. She never rushed. She made him trust her. Finally, he invited her to his beach house for a private writing session. She knew the moment had come, but something about J-Vibe made her hesitate. He was kind, different. That night, after they made love, she sat beside him, holding his underwear, frozen. Amara stared at the underwear in her hand. Her fingers trembled. The air felt heavy. J-Vibe was asleep beside her, his face peaceful, untouched by the darkness of her mission. For the first time, she felt guilt. Real, piercing guilt. But the calabash waited in her bag, pulsing faintly like a living thing. She walked to the balcony, opened the bag, and slowly placed the garment inside. 7, she whispered. The calabash roared like a beast. Thunder cracked in the sky, though there wasn't a cloud in sight. A shadow burst from the bowl and circled her like smoke. Her eyes rolled back. Her body shook violently, then dropped to the floor. When she woke, it was morning. J-Vibe was gone. Her skin felt hot, her veins burned. But her voice had changed. It was richer, deeper, almost divine. Within days, her career exploded. She was invited to sing at the BET Awards. Her new single hit #1 in 6 countries. Her face was on billboards from Lagos to London. But with the fame came something else. She started seeing shadows, faces of the men she'd used, their eyes sunken, mouths moving without sound. And one night, she heard them whisper her name. At first, she ignored it. The whispers came only when she was alone. In hotel bathrooms, in dark studios, in her dreams. Amara, Amara. She told herself it was stress. She was busier than ever. Interviews, tours, endorsements. She smiled for the cameras and posed in designer gowns, but deep down, fear grew. One night, while recording a song in South Africa, the sound engineer froze. "You okay?" she asked. He shook his head slowly. I just saw something behind you. A man." He looked dead. Amara laughed nervously. "Maybe you need sleep." But she knew. That night, she opened her calabash for the first time. Inside, the underwear had turned black, shrunken, stiff like old leather. A foul smell hit her nose. She dropped it, heart pounding. She called Baba Ifan. He didn't pick. She called again. Nothing. When she finally got through, his voice was distant. "Weak. You have awakened what cannot be controlled. The price is never truly paid. Fame opens doors, but it also opens graves." Then the call cut. She threw the calabash into the ocean the next day. But the whispers followed. And the shadows, they were getting bolder. One of them now stood at her bedside every night. Watching. Silent. Amara barely slept. Each night, the shadow by her bed came closer. It never spoke. It never moved. It just stood there, staring. She tried to distract herself. More shows, more deals, more interviews. Her manager was thrilled. "You're the hottest act in Africa right now," he said. But Amara was falling apart. She stopped eating. She wore sunglasses even indoors to hide the dark rings under her eyes. Her voice, though still perfect on stage, began to feel like it didn't belong to her. Then one night, during a concert in Paris, it happened. She was in the middle of her biggest hit when she suddenly froze. In the crowd, she saw all 7 men: DJ Blackbone, Don Tigo, Sakula, Chief Mega, the rest, all standing in the front row, pale and lifeless, staring. Amara screamed. The band stopped. The crowd went silent. Her manager rushed to the stage. "What's wrong?" "They are here. They're right there," she shouted, pointing. But when she looked again, the space was empty. That night, her show made headlines, not for her performance, but for her breakdown. Amara sees ghosts mid-concert trended on Twitter. The world was watching, but the spirits had been watching long before. Back in Lagos, Amara locked herself inside her mansion. She fired her staff, cancelled all bookings, turned off her phone. The fame she once begged for now felt like a curse. At night, she heard footsteps in the hallway. Doors opened by themselves. Lights flickered. Her reflection in the mirror sometimes moved differently from her body. She became paranoid. Her sister, Ada, visited one afternoon. "Amara, this is not you," she said. "You look haunted." Amara tried to speak, but tears came instead. "I did something," she whispered. "What?" But Amara couldn't explain. How do you tell your sister that your success came from stealing underwear from powerful men after sex and offering it to a native doctor? How do you say their ghosts are now haunting you? "I just need to rest," she lied. Ada didn't believe her but left quietly. That night, the shadow by her bed came close enough to touch her. She felt cold fingers stroke her hair. She screamed and ran into the hallway, only to find the entire corridor lined with the 7 men, each one decaying, their underwear hanging from their hands like flags. "We gave you our seed," one of them croaked. "Now you must give yours." "What do you mean?" Amara shouted, her voice shaking. The ghost of DJ Blackbone stepped forward, his mouth stitched shut with black thread. He raised a finger and pointed at her stomach. Her eyes widened. No, I can't be." But deep down, she knew. The signs had been there: missed periods, nausea, strange cravings. She had blamed it on stress, on the weight of her guilt. But the truth now stared her in the face. "You're lying," she cried, backing away. The spirits began to chant, low, guttural sounds that shook the walls of her house. The mirrors cracked. Blood ran from the sink. Her vision blurred. She fainted. When she woke, she was on the floor of her bedroom, her clothes soaked in sweat. But the worst part was the sound. A heartbeat. Fast. Small. Rhythmic. inside her. She visited a private clinic the next morning. The test confirmed it. She was pregnant. But how? She asked the doctor. I've been careful. The doctor shrugged. Maybe it's divine. Amara left in silence. That night, the spirit of Baba Ifan appeared at the foot of her bed. You've opened a door you cannot close, he said. The child is not yours alone. It belongs to the pact. Amara cried for hours after Baba Ifan's warning. She wanted to scream, but the air in her mansion had turned too heavy. Her staff no longer showed up. Her manager stopped calling. The media moved on to newer stars. She was alone, with a growing child inside her and spirits watching her every move. The pregnancy progressed fast. Too fast. By the end of the first month, she looked 4 months gone. Her skin glowed unnaturally. Her belly pulsed at night, like something was kicking to escape. She tried to terminate it. Secretly, the doctor, a trusted friend, prepared everything. But when he put the ultrasound on her belly, he froze. What is that? He murmured. Amara looked at the screen. The fetus didn't look human. Its eyes were wide open, staring directly at the monitor. Its hand pressed against her womb, and its lips moved, mouthing the word mama. The doctor dropped the scanner, trembling. I can't do this. Amara fled. That night, her body burned. She rolled on the floor, sweating, moaning in pain. The spirits circled her, chanting louder than ever. Fame has been fed. Now you must give birth to consequence. She screamed, and outside, the sky turned blood red. The next morning, Amara woke up in a pool of sweat and blood, but she wasn't dead. Her belly had stretched further overnight. She looked 8 months pregnant. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her hair had begun to fall out in clumps. She hardly recognized her reflection anymore. Out of desperation, she drove to Baba Ifan's shrine outside Badagry. It was abandoned, overgrown with weeds. The door was broken. Inside, the once glowing fire pit was cold. Bones lay scattered across the floor. She called his name over and over. Then something moved in the shadows. Baba Ifan appeared, not as the man she remembered, but a twisted, decayed version of himself. His eyes were hollow. His skin peeled like old paper. You were warned, he rasped. Amara dropped to her knees. Help me, please. I can't carry this thing. I didn't know. You asked for power, he interrupted, and the gods gave it. Now, you must give back. This child is your offering. It will walk the earth in your name. It will feed. It will rule. Amara screamed, No, I didn't ask for this. But Baba Ifan vanished into dust, and a voice whispered from inside her belly, Mama, we're almost there. Amara checked into a private suite at a remote hospital on the outskirts of Ibadan, using a fake name. The pregnancy now had its own rhythm. Every midnight, the child kicked violently. Lights flickered. Nurses complained of strange dreams. One nurse quit after hearing the fetus laugh during an ultrasound. Amara stopped seeing people. She stopped talking. The hospital staff whispered about her, calling her the witch in Suite 9. On the 8th day of her stay, a little girl from the maternity ward wandered into Amara's room by mistake. The girl stared at Amara's belly and smiled. He's awake, she said. Who? Amara asked, her voice hoarse. The baby, the girl giggled. He says he's hungry. Before Amara could speak again, the girl screamed and fainted. The doctors ruled it a seizure. But that night, Amara saw claw marks on the inside of her belly, deep scratches pushing against the skin from within. She knew it was no longer human. In her nightmares, the 7 men stood around her bed, chanting, You were our vessel. You are now our temple. Amara woke up vomiting black liquid. And in the mirror, her eyes were not her own anymore. They belonged to something older, something waiting. The delivery came earlier than expected. On the 31st night of the month, under a full moon that turned orange like fire, Amara went into labor. The doctors rushed in, but their equipment malfunctioned. Lights burst. The walls shook. Blood began dripping from the ceiling, though no one could find the source. As she screamed in pain, she saw Baba Ifun's spirit in the corner of the room, chanting in a tongue older than time. "You must push," he said. "The covenant must be fulfilled." The baby crowned. But it wasn't a baby. What came out first was a long, bony hand with claws. Then a head with black eyes. No whites, just darkness. The entire room filled with the sound of deep, guttural laughter. The doctors ran. One fainted. Amara screamed, "Take it out of me." But there was no turning back. The creature crawled out completely, gray-skinned, sharp-toothed, with symbols carved into its chest. It stood on 2 feet, fully grown. "Mother," it said, its voice like thunder and whisper mixed together. Then it disappeared into the wall. Vanished. Gone. The room fell silent. Amara passed out. When she woke, the bed was clean. Her belly was flat. The hospital empty. And on the wall, in blood, was a message. "You gave birth to legacy." 3 days passed. No one believed Amara. The hospital claimed she was never admitted. The room where she gave birth was locked, sealed off, and repainted. All the nurses and doctors had vanished. No trace, no records. It was like the event never happened. Amara wandered Lagos like a madwoman, barefoot and dazed, wearing a hospital gown under a black shawl. People took photos. Isn't that Amara the superstar? But they didn't recognize her anymore. The glow was gone. The madness in her eyes frightened even her most loyal fans. She returned to her mansion. Her awards were gone. Her plaques, posters, platinum records, everything had vanished. The house was bare, like it had never been lived in. But in the living room stood the child. Now a young boy, about 10 years old, but with those same black eyes, the same gray skin hidden under a silk suit. "Mother," he said, calmly, "you left me. That wasn't nice." Amara screamed and ran, but the doors slammed shut on their own. The boy sat on the couch, crossed his legs, and turned on the TV with a wave of his hand. All the news channels showed one thing: him, performing music. Amara's music. And the world was cheering. He called himself Zeno. Just Zeno. And in a matter of weeks, he became the biggest global sensation. His voice was hypnotic. His lyrics, eerie, spiritual, seductive, had fans fainting at concerts. Some people claimed they heard their dead relatives speaking through his music. He dropped songs daily. Each one went viral. No one questioned where he came from. No label signed him. No one managed him. Yet he topped charts in Nigeria, the UK, the US, and even Japan. Celebrities worshipped him. One popular artist tattooed Zeno's face on her chest during a live show. 2 others were found chanting his lyrics in their sleep before being admitted to psychiatric hospitals. Only Amara knew the truth. He was not just her son. He was the vessel of her deal. The child of a ritual sealed with 7 stolen souls. The price of her ambition. She tried to warn people. She posted online, screamed on the streets. No one listened. Instead, blogs labeled her crazy ex-superstar. A cautionary tale of fame gone wrong. One night, she snuck into one of Zeno's sold-out concerts. She stood in the crowd, watching him float midair, his voice echoing through the stadium like a god's. And then, he pointed straight at her. "Say hello to my mother." The spotlight hit her face. Cameras turned. The crowd gasped. Phones recorded. Amara stood frozen. Her legs trembled. Her chest tightened. Zeno floated down from the air and walked toward her. The crowd split like waves making way for a king. He stopped inches from her. "My creator," he said into the microphone, smiling. "Let's give her a warm welcome." The audience clapped, but Amara didn't feel honored. She felt cursed. Zeno leaned close, whispering only loud enough for her to hear. "I'm building a kingdom, Mama. One song at a time. And the more they worship, the stronger I become." Tears streamed down her face. "This wasn't the plan," she said. "It was always the plan," he replied. Zeno pulled her onto the stage. Cameras flashed. Do you love me, Mama? He asked into the microphone. Amara hesitated. Zeno's eyes turned pitch black. Lie, and they die. She looked at the crowd, thousands of hypnotized fans. She swallowed and forced a nod. Yes. The lights went out. Only the sound of Zeno's laughter echoed in the darkness. When the lights returned, Amara was gone. All that remained on stage was her shawl, and a faint whisper in the speakers. Legacy has no mercy. Amara awoke underground. A dark, cold space lit only by flickering oil lamps. The walls were carved with the faces of the 7 music executives, crying, screaming, twisted in eternal agony. In the center of the chamber stood Baba Ifan. He looked older. His bones barely held his skin, but his eyes burned bright. You weren't supposed to survive, he said. Amara crawled backward. Where am I? In the house of debts. You lied to me. Baba Ifan laughed. I granted your desire. You wanted fame. You got fame. You wanted power. You got more than power. You bore a god. He's a monster. He is what you made him. Amara screamed and rushed toward him, but her body wouldn't move. Baba Ifan pointed at her belly. The pact still lives in you. Zeno is not the end. He is the beginning. The womb that bore a god shall bear 7 more. Her hands trembled. No, no, no. I won't. You don't have a choice. He clapped once. From the shadows, the 7 spirits of the men she once seduced emerged, each holding a candle, each chanting. Amara's body levitated, and the cycle began again. Years passed. Zeno became more than an artist. He became a religion. Statues of him rose in cities. His lyrics were printed on schoolbooks. Governments bowed to his influence. People stopped praying to gods. They prayed to him. They said his music healed, that it cured cancer, brought rain, raised the dead. No one questioned his power. No one remembered Amara. Deep underground, she remained chained in the house of debts, her body kept alive by dark rituals. Her womb, once a symbol of her beauty, became an eternal portal. 7 more children came from her, each one more terrifying than the last. The world called them the Harmony. Zeno was their leader. Each sibling mastered an art: acting, politics, tech, finance, science, and war. Together, they reshaped the world. Not with guns, but with sound, with influence, with worship. And through it all, Amara screamed in silence, her fame now her eternal punishment. Her story forgotten, buried beneath lights and loud music. But sometimes, if you stand too close to the stage during a Zeno concert, you might hear it. A woman's voice, crying, begging, warning. Don't chase fame if you're not ready to be owned by it.